It's time for another knowledge bump, and this week's topic is water, or as we like to call it, liquid gold. We'll be talking about the role that water plays in the human body and the consequences of consuming too much or too little water. It's impossible to overstate the importance of water in the human body because it both supports and enables many bodily processes that are crucial for continued survival. Without water, the body will fail, and this lack of functionality would result in imminent death. Although the majority of water that people amass within their bodies is ingested by way of eating and drinking, there is a small percentage that is obtained from oxidative metabolism, which occurs as part of the respiratory sequence. In other words, a minor amount of water is amassed simply by breathing. The average water totals within the human body are subject to great discrepancies based on age, sex, health, and weight. As such, if we base it on weight alone, the average adult male holds approximately 60% water, while the average adult female holds approximately 50% water. Again, these values are subject to considerable variation when other factors come into play. Water plays a critical role in the human biology and is responsible for the following: cell life, transport, chemical reactions, temperature regulation, and waste excretion. Expanding on the idea that water is important for cell life, we must understand that cells contain water, and without sufficient water, these cells cannot survive. This fundamentally links to the second point, transport, wherein water is utilized as a mode of transport for nutrients such as vitamins, minerals, sugars, and all of that through the body and indeed within cells. The reason for this is because the water is a solvent and allows these nutrients to be dissolved within it as the water moves through the body. After all, blood is approximately 90% water, and it's common knowledge that blood delivers both oxygen and nutrients to the cells via the circulatory system. Regarding chemical reactions, water plays a massive role in facilitating these within the body because the human body is essentially a giant chemistry lab that conducts thousands of processes. Some of these processes include oxygenating blood, handling waste, and turning nutrients that are ingested or stored within the body into energy. Without water, our bodies would struggle to remove excess toxic waste such as urea and digest our food due to the huge energy output that is required to break down nutrients. At the end of the day, lack of water will affect your well-being. Water is usually given the most consideration and praise for its role in regulating the body's temperature. The hypothalamus is essentially the master of the body's temperature regulating system, otherwise known as thermoregulation, and utilizes water among other things to combat variations in thermal energy that pose a threat to your well-being. As water has a high heat capacity, it is able to perform the basic function of keeping an individual's core temperature at a constant 37 degrees Celsius. While water is in the body, it conducts heat and radiates it outward to the surrounding cells. The further the cells are from the core, the less heat they will receive and hold because the heat is constantly being lost as the cells nearest the skin lose heat via constant exchanges with the outside environment. If the environment is warm enough or there is a heat source available, we can source heat externally as our skin conducts that thermal energy and sends it inward. On a cold day, this is why blood tends to be warmer near our core and less so toward our limbs. This thermal energy is created chemically from the many processes taking place in our bodies such as breathing and digestion, and mechanically via friction and the contraction of blood vessels, among other things. On a hotter day or when we exercise vigorously, the human body must compensate for heat that is generated from increased friction, the production of much needed energy, and various metabolic processes that are occurring. Therefore, the hypothalamus tells the body's sweat glands to open and subsequently release the heat stored within the water. As the water evaporates and the heat is lost to the outside air, the skin is cooled. This water is coming from the dermis, the middle layer of our skin, and will also contain salt, ammonia, urea, and other things that would be toxic to the body if they were not removed. The reasoning here is that if they were left in the body with the remaining water, the concentration would be too great and the body would be in a world of trouble. The opposite is also true as well. In regard to salt, if you drink too much water, you risk diluting the existing concentrations of salt, and the body would similarly be in trouble. This is called hyponatremia. For this reason, scientific studies tend to warn against smashing back water in one sitting rather than slowly consuming it throughout the day. The kidneys work to stabilize the system and balance the body's sodium levels, so when you drink too much water, the kidneys have to filter far more blood than usual, and this is when the problems arise. Small sips of water approximately every 10 minutes throughout the day and more frequently throughout exercise are enough to moderate your daily fluid intake. A lack of water will eventually result in symptoms of dehydration. Water can be lost through respiration, perspiration, excretion of solid and liquid waste, and through the production of tears and saliva. Even more can be lost while experiencing a fever, diarrhea, vomiting, diabetes, and excessive sweating, or through the use of diuretics. The main avoidance sign for dodging the onset of severe dehydration is the colour of one's urine. The darker it is, the higher the urea concentration and the less water is within your body to dilute it. Eventually, severe dehydration will render a person unable to urinate. For adults, the symptoms of mild dehydration tend to revolve around muscle cramps, headaches, and dry skin. Severe dehydration is often accompanied by all of the previous mentioned symptoms, with potential fainting, dizziness, rapid breathing, rapid pulse rate, sleepiness, lack of energy, confusion, or irritability. Therefore, your optimal level of water should colour your urine a pale yellow colour. If it is clear, you may be drinking too much water in one sitting or be too hydrated. If it is darker yellow, you need to drink more water at regular intervals. The short response to the importance of water is that your body absolutely cannot function without water. You must carefully maintain your water intake to avoid life-threatening outcomes. If you did not drink water in the time it took for you to watch this video to the end, you need to go and do that. Until we see you again, train hard and supercharge your muscle growth with Rare Nutrition.